Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Jigna Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So thank you for coming. Guess we can start 2 minutes early. Rupa Mataji, am I audible? Rupa Mataji, am I audible?
Mataji, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's start. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinbandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namastate. Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishbhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So before we start, I want to invite each one of you. Tomorrow is Radha Ashtami, right, in India. So we have a program in the temple. Kartik Prabhu, what time it starts? 6:30?
6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. in the evening.
Okay, thank you. So 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So please come for a nice program. We'll send you the link for the Zoom. Okay, and then we'll hear about Radharani. Okay, so what is the name for chapter 7? Difficult question. Let me unmute. What is the name for chapter 7?
Jnana Vijnana Yoga.
I didn't understand. Sorry.
Knowledge of the absolute.
Knowledge of the absolute. Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Thank you. What is the name of chapter 5? Chapter
Karma
5.
Sannyas Yoga.
The books.
Jnana Yoga.
Karma Sannyas Yoga.
Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga.
Chapter 6 is Dhyana Yoga. Chapter 5 is Karma Yoga. Action in consciousness. Okay, what is the name of chapter 3?
Karma Yoga.
Yoga.
Very nice. What is the name of chapter 4?
Transcendental knowledge.
Jnana Yoga.
Okay, very nice. The Jnana Yoga, general knowledge. Thank you. So today's chapter is Akshara Brahma Yoga, or attaining the Supreme. Yesterday was the knowledge of the Absolute, and now it's the attaining the Supreme. Very nice chapter, very powerful chapter. Let's pay our obeisances to Shri Shri Radha Govinda before we proceed. This is what we did yesterday in knowledge of the Absolute, glories of knowledge about Krishna, where the emphasis was given to the process of hearing from a bona fide source about Krishna. The knowledge of Lord Krishna's energy from verse 4 to 12, where Krishna actually told us where do we look for him. Like we are all looking for Krishna, and but we're not looking in the right way. So he started to give us some direction that look at me in the taste of water. When you drink water, I'm the taste of water. I'm the intelligence of a man. I'm the sound in ether. I'm the Om in the Vedic mantras, like that. And then after knowing it and understanding it, one should surrender to Krishna. Because surrendering to Krishna, by surrendering to Krishna, one can get relief from the material miseries. And then demigod worship and in surrendering process to Krishna, we also studied four kind of people who will surrender and four kind of people who will not surrender to Krishna. So who are the four kind of people who will surrender to Krishna? You can write to me in the chat. And four kind of people who will not surrender. You can feel free to write to me in the chat box. And then Krishna said, there are some people who will never surrender, demigod worship and impersonalist. And then from delusion to devotion. I don't have any answers in the chat yet. Four kind of people who will surrender and four kind of people who will not surrender. This chapter starts with Arjuna asking questions to Krishna. 8 questions by Arjuna answered. 8 questions by Krishna, and Krishna answers 7 out of 8 within the verse 3 to 4. And then remembering Krishna at time of death, then remembering Krishna by Yoga Mishra Bhakti, remembering Krishna by pure Bhakti, material world versus spiritual world, and supremacy of pure Bhakti in attaining Krishna. These are the questions which are asked by Arjuna to Krishna. Arjuna inquired, "O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the self? What are the fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. How does this Lord of sacrifice live in the body, and in which part does he live, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death?" So these are the 8 questions. Brahman, what is Brahman? What is self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? What are demigods? How does this Lord of sacrifice live in the body? And in which part does he live? How can those engaged in devotional service can know you at the time of death? So basically, how come he's asking these questions to Krishna? Because in the last 2 verses of the last chapter, these verses were spoken by Krishna. Jara marana mokshaya mam ashritaya tantiye te brahma tadvidhu kritsam adhyatmam karma cha akhilam sa adi bhuta adi devam mam sa adi yagnam cha ye vidhu prayana kale api cha mam te vidhu yukta chetasaha. So see, the words are there, right? Te brahma, then adhyatma, then adi devam, then adi yagnam, then prayana kale. So Arjun is listening very attentively, and he's asking Krishna. Krishna didn't understand the meanings of these words. And what were the questions? Krishna, what is Brahman? So Krishna answers, Brahman is the Jiva, or the indestructible living entity. In Sanskrit language, one word can have more than one meaning, depending on the way it is used. So if you read the purport of, if you read the purport of 8.1, then Prabhupada explains there that Brahman means the impersonal effulgence of Krishna, that Brahma Jyoti, and Brahman also means the living entity, or Jiva, or the soul. So this in this particular verse 8.1, Brahman refers to Jiva, or indestructible living entity. Then Adhyatma is the controller of the body, or the nature of this Jiva itself. And what is the nature of the Jiva? The nature of the Jiva is Jivara Swarup Hai Nitya Krishna Das, to be the eternal servant of Krishna. That is the natural nature of the soul. And then what is karma? Work or fruitive activities, actions which lead to another material body. So we define karma in so many ways, but here Krishna is defining it in one word. Actions we do which lead to another material body. Either it could be a pious or impious, but doesn't matter, but leading to another material body, and that's karma. What is Adibhut? Adibhut is material nature. What is Adidev? Adidev is the universal form which includes all demigods. And what is Adi Yagna? Paramatma, the super soul in the heart, the enjoyer of the sacrifice. Where does Adi Yagna reside? In the heart of all. How to remember Krishna at the time of death? Practice. Abhyasena. Practice remembrance throughout the life. Okay, so let's see. The Supreme Lord said, the indestructible transcendental living entity, Krishna, is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called the self. Actions pertaining to development of this material body is called karma, or fruitive activities. Okay, so first 2 questions. So Brahman is the indestructible transcendental living entity. Adhyatma is the nature of the Jiva. Karma is the actions which lead to another material body. Right? This was a verse in 2nd chapter Bhagavad Gita. I think it was 13th verse. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kamaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhira satra namoyati. So inside the body, deha, there is a dehi, the proprietor of the body, which sees the body going through these changes. Young age, youth, old age, and then when the body is no more able to keep the soul leaves that body and acquires new body. And a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So what decides the next body? What decides out of 8,400,000 types of species? What decides where the soul is going to go next in the material world? The type of activities we are doing throughout our life, and also what we are thinking at the time of death. So these are the activities. So if somebody is doing an activity throughout the life of eating anything and drinking anything, then the body of a hog is waiting. Somebody is very pious in their life, and they have been donating and doing so many karmakand activities, then or so many socialist activities, altruistic activities, humanitarian or nationalist activities, they're doing some sort of a tapasya, then the heavenly body is waiting. And if somebody is been doing Krishna consciousness throughout their life, the Krishna conscious activities, then the spiritual body in Goloka Vrindavan is waiting. So depending on what we do. And Adibhut, what is Adibhut? Physical nature is said to be endlessly mutable. We know this, right? Mutable means it's constantly changing. We know that whether the seasons change, the plants change, our body changes, everything changes. So it's endlessly mutable. We can't stop it. The universe, so that's Adibhut. And universe is the cosmic form of Supreme Lord. And I am that Lord represented as Super Soul. So universe is the cosmic form of Supreme Lord, that is the universal form, which is a subject matter of chapter 11. So cosmic form, so which is called Vishwarupa. Krishna shows us by his Vishwarupa that how he is pervading the entire cosmic manifestation. Cosmic manifestation means the manifestation which has come into existence, like the place where we are living now, the material world. Spiritual world is eternal. It doesn't come into existence and it doesn't, become unmanifested. Those things doesn't happen there. It happens here, and when it is manifested, then Krishna's Vishwarupa actually contains all the elements of the material nature. And the Lord and I am that Lord represented as a super soul. So Vishwarupa is more like a concept, but the localized aspect of Krishna in the heart is super soul or Paramatma, dwelling in the heart of every embodied being. Every embodied being, any soul which has acquired a body, Paramatma is there in that body. And how to remember Krishna at the time of death? So between 8.3 and 8.4, Krishna has answered 7 out of 8 questions. And the only question which is remaining is how to remember Krishna at the time of death. And Krishna is going to spend considerable amount of time discussing that question and answer it. Antakale cha mam eva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam ya ati na asti atra sanshaya. I was reading this last night, and Krishna in this chapter has said 6 times that there is no doubt that the person engaged in devotional service will come to me. There is no doubt. I was analyzing. It's from 5th verse, 6th verse, 7th verse, 8th verse, and then verse 16, and then verse 21. Those are the 6 verses where Krishna says there is no doubt that a person engaged in devotional service is going to come to me. So many times he has repeated the same thing in one chapter. And whoever at the time of death quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So Sa prayati yaha prayati samad bhavan ya ati na asti atra sanchayaha. Sanchaya means doubt, and na asti atra, not even a little bit of a doubt is there that person is going to attain my nature, if that person at the time of leaving the body is thinking of me. So there are certain keywords in this verse. One is at the time of death, remembering me, quits the body, remembering me alone, not like in something else also. At once attains my nature, at once. So we don't have to wait, at once. This at once is subject matter of discussion in Srimad Bhagavatam. we learn. So, okay, let me ask this question to you. When we are studying in, let's say, in a professional in college, in our life, in the material world, wherever you are in the whole world, it's the same thing. Let's say somebody wants to become a engineer, okay, and they enter the engineering college after hard work, after passing so many exams. Okay, so let's say Hare Krishna, the course is 4 years long, let's say. Okay, and then they do 2 years of college, and then and before they do 2 years of college, mind you, they have done 12 years of schooling. Okay, so 12 plus 2 years, so 14 years of college for studying, and then they drop out. Will you call that person as an engineer? Will you call that person as after 14 years of hard
No.
work?
No, Mataji.
We will not call them as an engineer, right? Because they dropped out. So 14 years gone down the drain, literally. If the aim was to become an engineer, and now they can't. But Krishna consciousness is not like that. Krishna consciousness, it says at once. So Krishna doesn't make us wait. He knows we don't have any credentials. Just remembering me is enough. So because if we are remembering Krishna at the most vulnerable time of our life, we actually have no karma. We go to Yamraj or Yamlok or the hellish planets or heavenly planets if there is some karma remaining. If there is some karma, then that takes me this place, that place, that place. But if I remember Krishna, then there is no karma. Yamraj cannot touch us. There is no karma remaining. So what will he do with us? Nothing, because a person thought of Krishna at the most vulnerable time. Krishna consciousness is a very, very powerful philosophy because it gives so much protection. This is from Mahabharata, that you know the story, right? I'm sure most of you know the story, that when 5 Pandavas were in exile in the forest, they felt thirsty. So they said Nakul to search out for water. So Nakul went and started looking for water, and he found this lake, and he wanted to drink the water. So the minute he was trying to put his hand inside the lake, there was a voice of Yaksha saying that don't drink water from this lake. This is my lake. If you drink water from here, I will kill you. So he ignores the voice and he drinks the water. So he dies. And then other brothers, one by one, Sahadev comes, then Bhima comes, then Arjun comes. And then everyone is doing the same thing, that the lake is giving them warning, but they are ignoring, they are drinking, and then they are dying. So then Yudhishthira Maharaj got worried that where are the brothers? You know, they have gone to fetch water and they have been like missing forever. So he comes near the lake. He sees that all of them are lying down. So he thinks that they are sleeping. He thinks maybe they drank too much water and then they got satisfied, so they wanted to take rest. So he said, okay, let me drink some water. So when he started drinking water, he heard the same voice from Yaksha. If you don't drink water from this lake, if you will drink, then I will kill you. So Yudhishthira Maharaj hears that voice and he does not drink. So he's then Yaksha then he finds out that his brothers have died. So he pleads Yaksha to return his brothers, and he says, okay, if you answer my questions perfectly, and you will get only one chance to answer question right. If you don't answer them right, I'm not gonna return, and I will only return one brother of yours. So which brother? In the beginning, that was the pact. So he's asking hundreds of questions, but there are 3 prominent questions which are subject matter of learning for all of us. And one of the questions that Yaksha asked Yudhishthira Maharaj was, what is the most wonderful thing in this world? What is the most wonderful thing? So Yudhishthira Maharaj answers this as the answer. Ani bhutani gachanti hayamalayam shesha sthabaram icchanti kim ascharyam athaparam. Hundreds and thousands of living entities meet death at every moment. But a foolish living being nonetheless thinks himself deathless and does not prepare for death. This is the most wonderful thing in this world. Okay, so we see all of so many living entities dying around us every moment. Every moment. You see, he's using the word every moment. We see an ant dying, or an insect dying, or animal dying, or some human being dying. Every moment we hear this news of death. but we are so bewildered that we think that it is meant for that person and not for me. Because if we think that it is meant for me, I'm also going to die, then we will prepare for it. But we don't, and does not prepare for that. And this is the most wonderful thing in this material world. Okay, so preparing for death is a subject matter of the duration of life. It's not that if you talk about this in a non-Krishna conscious environment, then most of the times the answer is don't talk inauspicious things, right? These are the things like I'm too young to talk about all this, right? This is the things. This is my experience. If you talk about it, let me enjoy life. I have worked so hard in my life. Now don't talk about dying right now. I still have to see my children, my grandparents, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, right? Don't talk about like this.
Yes.
Don't. So a Krishna conscious person is fully aware that this could be my last day. I was taking that advanced class on the weekend, and I was saying to them, whenever we have a doubt, that what should I do and what I should not do, there's a process of solving the doubt, right? So or solving a dilemma in someone's life. An intelligent person will introspect and follow some steps to solve their problem and not get so much like succumbed by the problem, because the intelligent person is always aware that I'm Atma. I'm just been placed in this situation, but I'm actually not related to this situation so much. So that person will follow some steps to solve the problem and not get so much thick with the problem. Okay, so so whenever we have that, there's one thing that helps to keep the problem and me as two separate things. And what is that? Every day think that what if this is my last day on this planet? What if? Then what is the most important thing for me right now? So you get, at least I get clarity that what is most important. So we are talking about Prayana Kale, how to remember how to achieve the Supreme Lord at the time of death. So Krishna has started answering from 8.5 that think of me and at the time of death, and that will lead to me by for sure, without na asti atra sanchayaha, without any doubt. And I was saying that 6 times in this chapter, Krishna reassures the person, that person thinking of me at the time of death will surely come to me. And those verses are 5, 6, 7, 8, 16, and 21. Those are the verses where Krishna says. So another, yam yam vapi smaran bhavan tejati ante kalevaram tam tam eveti konteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. So it is not like I don't know, some of you may not like it, but the thing is that whenever we read an obituary in the newspaper or wherever, then generally the writing is that such and such person has left there for their heavenly abode, right? That's what I have read mostly. I don't know if what you have read, but that's what I have read. Have you guys read something else? Such and
Yes.
Heavenly abode.
Similar.
Okay, so I sometimes feel that we should put this verse in the obituary, that we don't know where they went. So whatever they were thinking is the place that where they have gone. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. So this is the story of Bharat Maharaj in 5th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. So many learning lessons. Bharat Maharaj was on the Bhava Bhakti platform. Is there anyone in this class who knows the 9 stages of bhakti? 9 stages of bhakti. You can raise your hand for this question, or you can write to me in the chat. 9 stages of bhakti. Yes, Keyur Vagela Prabhu. Yes, what are they?
Hare Krishna Ma Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam.
That's 9 processes. I am asking 9 stages. I'm not asking Navavidhi. That's 9 processes. Okay, so, but thank you. That was a nice attempt. Gaurav Govardhan Das Prabhuji. Yes, what are the 9 stages? Very quickly, we have to finish the chapter. Rupa Mataji, do you want to tell us? I know you tell us very nicely.
Yes, Mataji. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, and then there is the Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and then Prema.
Very nice. So these are the 9 stages of bhakti. So bhakti is a science that in science you can do an experiment and you can get the result. So like that, these are the stages that a person in devotional process goes through, and it begins with Shraddha. Shraddha means faith. And then by faith, one comes into the association of devotees. That's sadhu sangha. And then when they come in the association of devotees, what are they going to do? They're not going to talk about stock market or Bollywood movies or Hollywood movies, right? They're going to talk about bhajan kriya, what is happening. So like that, bhava bhakti is the 8th stage, and then that's the one and then that leads to prema bhakti, very, very high stage in devotional service. Bharat Maharaj was in the bhava bhakti platform. He was so attached to Krishna that he was able to detach himself from the material elements to focus more on Krishna. And he was able to go to the forest and live alone. We can't live alone. A materialistic person with material desires, if they are left alone, they go mad. We see a lot of rise in mental health diseases in the time of lockdown, right? If you visit the hospital, too many people are having mental breakdowns, and too many anarthas are happening because people are left on their own. And how much unrest is there when a person is left just on their own, alone. They feel very lonely and very agitated because they're not on, because the mind is very disturbed and the mind is seeking sense gratification, and then there's the objects of sense gratification are far away. So there's this, friction. Oh my God, I can't enjoy life because I'm so far away. And it leads to all these ethereal diseases. Anyway, so he was not like that. He was able to live alone. But by chance, where near his bhajan kutir, there was a water body, maybe a stream or a lake. And over there, he saw one mother deer who was pregnant. She was trying to cross the water body. And then there was this roaring of the lion somewhere in the back. So because of the fear of the loud noise, she actually gave birth and she died. So Bharat Maharaj saw that, and he became compassionate to this motherless doe, the motherless baby deer. And he brought him to his bhajan kutir. So slowly, dhyayate vishan punsa sangasya sanjayate. So slowly, he developed attachment to the doe. And he would, he would try to focus on his Krishna conscious activity. And Bharat Maharaj was king of the whole planet, and he was super rich and he had super comfortable life. But he was able to give that. The example given is in the 5th canto, what was the detachment of Bharat Maharaj was that as a person passes the stool and is able to give up that, like anything like that, Bharat Maharaj was able to give up his riches in love of Krishna. But in the forest, he became attached to this deer, the baby deer. So he was very, very caring for the deer. So one day what happened, the deer went in the forest and never returned. So probably was eaten up by another animal. And Bharat Maharaj became disturbed and went in the search of him from this place to that place in the forest. And when he was leaving his body, he naturally thought of the deer. So because of that, he had to take the body of a deer. You see, Vyasdev is not going to waste his time describing about any mundane person. There are many, many lessons from Bharat Maharaj's life. Bharat Maharaj never fell down. Falling down means forgetting Krishna. He never forgot Krishna. He just got sidetracked. There was no forgetfulness. And in the body of a deer, he could remember. He could remember that why he became a deer. And then he was keeping association with devotees, even in the body of deer. How many of you remember why you got this body? What did you do in last life? How many of you are remembering?
Nothing. Nobody remember. Nobody.
So we are not like Bharat Maharaj. We don't have that Bhava Bhakti platform that we can remember. So please don't think of it in an offensive manner at all. It's a lesson for people like us. Like Arjun is being bewildered by Krishna, so he can speak Bhagavad Gita, but actually Arjun is with Krishna. So how can he be in ignorance? Right? Krishna Surya Sama. Maya hai andhakar. Jahan Krishna taha nahi, Maya adhikar. So have you seen darkness in a bright sun? Have you ever seen a darkness? Can there be a place of darkness if you're outside in a bright afternoon? Yes, no, maybe so.
No, not
No.
at all.
So, like that, thank you. Wherever there is Krishna, there is no question of darkness, but it is an arrangement of Krishna to teach people like us so we can take benefit. Anyway, the bottom line of the verse or behind telling this story is that whatever we remember at the time of death, that body we will get without fail. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha mai arpita mano buddhir mam evashyasya sanchayaha. Therefore, tasmat. So the conversation is starting with the word tasmat, and whenever the conversation starts with word tasmat or therefore, it means that it is a continuation from the last subject matter, which is like, how do we quit our body? What do we think? Then Krishna gives his verdict that Arjun, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, always, not like 2 hours in the day, or maybe 2 hours is also a lot of time, maybe like 5 minutes. No, always think of me. How? In the form of Krishna. And at the same time, carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. See another one. Without doubt, you will attain me. So this is a very interesting verse. Because over here, Krishna is saying, first duty is think of me always in the form of Krishna. Then second element is at the same time carry out your prescribed duty. So the conversation is following a pattern. It's not an accident that he's saying think of me, and then it's not like us, we talk without any arrangement of words. Krishna doesn't talk like that. Bhagavad Gita or Sanskrit language or Krishna's words are very much in alignment of what should be done at what time. So he is telling Arjun, who's going to fight the war of Mahabharata, and he is going to be killing, and how much attention Arjun will have to pay in the fight. But Krishna is advising him, always think of me. So even during that time, Arjun was advised by Krishna to think of him in the form of Krishna. At the same time, carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. And what will be the result of that thought? With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. This is a very nice verse. When we take advanced classes, I spend some time discussing this verse because there's so many learning lessons. One more learning lesson I can say that is that we can talk about Krishna, we can hear about Krishna, we can read about Krishna, but we don't become fixed in Krishna. But over here, Krishna is saying, mind and intelligence fixed on me. Mai arpita manor buddhi. So how do we fix Krishna in our intelligence and mind? Okay, so for that, we have to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We have to hear from a bona fide source. Because if we keep chanting, then our mind and intelligence become fixed. We have to ingrain Krishna in our consciousness. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagamina param purusham divyam ya ati partha anuchintayan. He who meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path. So constant engagement in remembering and undeviated from the path. O Parth, Arjun is sure to reach me. See again, 4th time in the chapter, Krishna is saying, sure to reach me. So there is no surety in this world of anything except one thing. And Srila Prabhupada says that as sure as death. Only one thing is sure, and that is death. There's nothing else which is sure. Even the birth is not sure. And I've seen that many times. You think like there's going to be a smooth delivery of a child into this world, but no, it doesn't happen smoothly sometimes, and sometimes people lose lives also. So even the birth is not sure, but death is very sure. Okay, so Krishna is again emphasizing that mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path. So this is another story of a learning lesson pertaining to this verse. This is in 6th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, the story of a Brahmin called Ajamil. Ajamil was a very pious Brahmin. He was born in a very nice family, and his father was training him in the Vedic culture and how to worship the deity. So one time, and he had a very nice and chaste wife. One time he went to the forest, Krishna. One time he went to the forest to collect 4 kinds of grasses and some flowers for the deity worship. When he was coming back, he saw this prostitute embracing another man, and they were intoxicated. So the eyes were rolling in intoxication. It's written like that in 6th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. So he tried to control his senses by remembering all the Vedic mantras and all the devotional service activities that he's been doing for the purification. He knows this is not a act of a gentleman, but he could not stop thinking about it. So he goes home with this, and he starts contemplating and develops attachment, and he wants to have this lady in the house now. So he actually tells his there's a play also, there's a puppet show also in a Jamil pastime. One day, maybe if we have time, we'll see it. So he tells his good wife that, you see, you do so much work in the house, you need some maid servant. So she says, no, I'm fine, I enjoy working in my house, I don't need anyone. He says, no, I'm telling you, you need a maid servant. So he brings this lady in the house as a maid servant. So the association is like fire, right? Whatever we associated will become like that. So there's a saying in English too, that birds of same feather flock together. So our association defines who we are. So because of the association with a low grade person, he actually kicks his wife out, good wife, out of the house. And he also throws his old parents out of the house so that he can live with this lady. And he lives with her. And then because of the food eaten by eating food cooked by a prostitute, his consciousness became contaminated. So he fell down from his practice of Krishna consciousness, and he started doing all the mundane activities like robbery or sinful activities, or actually robbery or gambling or cheating or intoxication, like that, to keep up the demands of the prostitute. And he had 10 sons with her. And the last son was born when he was 88 years old. It's written. Everything that I'm saying, you can read in 6th canto. 88 years old, and he had a 2-year-old son, and somehow he named that son as Narayan. He was not attached to Krishna or was not chanting Hare Krishna or worshipping, but somehow he got this inspiration from the Lord in the heart to name this child as Narayan. And it is said that old people are very attached to the young children. They're very attached to the sweet and innocent movements of the young children, sweet and innocent voices, babbling, playful activities of young children. So he was 88-year-old, has a 2-year-old son, was very attached to the activities of the child. And he would call him very lovingly, Narayan, come here, Narayan, sit here, Narayan, eat this, Narayan, sleep here, Narayan, let's play, like that. So one afternoon, he laid down to take rest in the bed. And lest you know that was the last time, that was the time of his death. So he started seeing these Yamdutas around him, rightfully, right? Because he committed all the sinful activities through his life. So Yamdutas were coming to claim the soul. And out of the fear of looking at their ghastly faces, he called upon his son, which was playing nearby, Narayan, please save me. Like that he said. So because he said without offenses, because he said in the most vulnerable time of his life, and he said this 4-syllable, Narayana, immediately Vishnudutas came, hearing that offenseless chanting of the holy name of Krishna. And then there was a discussion between Vishnuduta and Yamduta that who's going to claim the soul. And ultimately, of course, Vishnudutas won. They did not take him back to Krishna because he was not purified yet, but they gave him another chance. The soul was put back in the body. And when he woke up this time, he remembered everything that what just happened. And he was lamenting that whole life he wasted gratifying his senses, and how he fell down from his position and threw his good wife and the parents out to satisfy his desires to live with this lady. And in her association started doing all the mundane activities. So he immediately retired to go to Haridwar at the banks of Mother Ganges. And then he seriously started taking up Krishna consciousness. And then when he left his body, then the Vishnudutas came in the Vaikuntha Viman, the airplane from Vaikuntha, and took him back. Okay, so it's very powerful. So this was a verse that Abhyasa Yoga Chetasa, Yoga Yuktena, Chetasa na anya gamina. Anyway, so this Krishna consciousness is very powerful. And so last 4 verses, Krishna has been emphasizing, then think of me in the form of Krishna, think of me in the form of Krishna. 9th verse is actually a object matter of meditation. Krishna, which Krishna, how Krishna. So these are the qualities that Krishna wants us to focus when we think of him. Kavim Puranam Anushashitaram Anor Aniyam Sham Anusmaradyaha Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastad. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. He is luminous like sun, and being transcendentally is beyond this material nature. So this is a nice one. Kavim, so knower of everything, past, present, future. Puranam, all are born out of him. So he's the oldest. Purana means old also. Anushashitaram. Anushashitaram means controller of everything. Anayor aniyam, smaller than the smallest. Dhatram, the maintainer. Beyond all material conception, all big planets are floating by his energy. Then Rupam, always a person, not an energy. Person, God is a person. He's just not like us, but he's a person. Achintya, inconceivable. Aditya, Varnam, luminous like sun. Tamasaha Parastad means transcendental, beyond this material nature. So this is how Krishna wants us to think of him. All these 10, Krishna, what am I doing? I'm sorry. All these 10 forms. I apologize. Okay, so this is a very nice verse, and each and every quality has so much of mellow inside it to discuss. For example, inconceivable. So Krishna is inconceivable. What does it mean? It means that we cannot conceive Krishna by our senses, by our mind, by our intelligence. We cannot conceive and put Krishna and understand how Krishna is by our own speculation. That is why we need someone else, a guru, a spiritual master, to teach us who he is. We are in ignorance. Actually, we are born in ignorance. That is why this particular material world has so many types of colleges and universities, right? If we are all born in knowledge, what is the need of having all these places? But we are born in ignorance. And this is the most wonderful knowledge that one can ever have about themselves and about Krishna. Knowing Krishna means looking at the mirror. When we look at the mirror, we can look at ourselves also, right? Like that, when we learn about Krishna, we automatically learn about ourselves. All these qualities are very nice. Isopnishad has so many mantras describing the inconceivable potency of Krishna. Is that verse 5? That tad jayati, tad na jayati. Rupa Mataji, that's verse 5, right? He walks, he doesn't walk. He's inside, he's
Yes, Mataji,
outside.
I think so. Madhurani Mataji took that.
He's far away and he's also very near. So nice. These things are so nice to discuss. We get tired if we discuss about a mundane person. How much to discuss, Okay, that person is so nice. Okay, that person has done so many wonderful activities in their life. But then ultimately it is tiring to talk about a material person. But more we talk about Krishna, the more we become happy. And the more we become happy, the more we become satisfied. Do you all feel, you don't have to please me, please be honest. Do you all feel a sense of relief, a sense of being light when we hear and learn about Krishna, or no?
Yes.
We feel very
Mataji, there is no doubt.
There is no doubt.
No.
How come?
Happiness.
All right. So how come we feel like that? We feel like that because when we talk about Krishna, we actually get rid of our sinful activities. We feel heavy in the heart, heavy in the mind, heavy everywhere because of our karmic burden. But Krishna, talking about Krishna, hearing about Krishna is so powerful that it just gets a sense of relief. We get relieved. And all the great devotees are worshipping Krishna with all their heart. Brahma, you read Brahma Samhita, how he is talking about Krishna. And whenever there is a problem in the material world, he always goes to the Vishnu in the Shweta Dvipa and worship and meditate to get the problem solved. Lord Shiva is talking about Krishna so many times. Lord Shiva is always meditating, right? He's always meditating. What is he meditating on? He's meditating on the Sankarshan form of Krishna. They relish. Mam upetya punarjanma dukhalayam ashashvatam na panuvanti mahatma na samsiddhim paramam gatim. After attaining me, The great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. So this particular place, Krishna calls this particular place, the whole material world, not just the planet Earth, as a place of misery, dukkhalayam. Alayam means a place, right? A place, and then this place of what? Miseries, dukkha. Okay, one may say, okay, this place is miserable, but I have so much money, I can evade my miseries. If it is very hot, I can have a air conditioner. If it is very cold, then I can have a heater, right? Or if I can't go out in the lockdown time, then I will buy an Apple TV and put so many channels. Money, I'll keep myself in comfortable position. But okay, one can try that. Then what is the next property of this place? The next property is ashashvatam, temporary. You can evade your miseries, but for how long? Because death is waiting. One devotee one time said this, and I really like this, that this place is something like that. Okay, let's say that that somebody is telling the other person that I'm going to give you the facility to enjoy everything in the world that you want to enjoy, everything. Whatever desires you may have now or in future, I'm just going to give you the ability and the resources to enjoy everything. But there is one condition. Acha, what is the condition? The condition is that you're going to be locked up in this particular room. So your enjoyment will be in this particular room, and I will be outside. So I'm going to lock you, and I'll give you all objects of enjoyment. But the minute you're going to come out, I'm going to shoot you. So this is like that. So will that person be able to enjoy if that's the condition? So-called enjoyment.
No, Mataji.
No,
Why not? Why
no.
not?
Will not be.
That will be always in his mind.
Right.
For initially we may enjoy, but afterward it would again, we will need our freedom. And that fear of death will always be there.
Very nice. So that's what is happening to us. We have a terminal disease. Now we forget because Maya chocolate coats our life, but that doesn't mean that we can escape death. So that is exactly what is happening to us. You can enjoy within this domain of x-axis and y-axis, but if you come to the z-axis, then done. So okay, so temporary and full of miseries. But if I go to Krishna, then I don't have to suffer anymore. But we don't trust it. Why don't we trust? Bhaktivinoda Thakur Prabhupada has said because of the weakness of heart, and there are 4 kinds of anarthas. Right? He has described 4 kinds of anarthas which actually block us from going to Krishna in detail. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, all of them, right? And wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So that is the place where we can be there with Krishna and we can enjoy with Krishna. No school, no college, no office, no fear of growing old, no fear of growing disease, or no fear of dying, just happiness. How many of you would like to go to that place? You can raise your hand. How many of you would like to have a place where there is no fear, no element of fear, and no death, no old age, no need for anti-wrinkle creams or hair colors or gyms to keep the body fit, because over here the body deteriorates with whatever activities we do. That place is, so we all belong. So that's the only these many people. We are 62 people sitting in this class. Only these many?
No, we all would.
We all
Understand.
We all want.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's
we
go
can.
there together by the process of Krishna consciousness. Like we can uplift, we can lift each other and help each other in the process of Krishna consciousness. Why not? Thank you so much. You can lower your hands. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. So he's saying that, okay, one may want to live here, and one may think that, okay, if I'm going to go to higher planetary system, from Earth to there are 7 upper planetary systems, let's say Brahmalok, where the duration of life is the longest. So one may think that, okay, I'm going to go there and I'm going to enjoy for a long time. Over here, the enjoyment is 40, 50, 60, 70 years, 80 years, like no one is living till 100 years. But Krishna says, okay, let's calculate that Brahma is living thousands of years. When Brahma's days manifest, this multitude of living entities come into being. And at the arrival of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. So Brahma's day, this cosmic manifestation comes into being, and they're living entities. But when Brahma's nightfall, then this is bounded back. It's not a complete devastation; it's a partial devastation. But there is a devastation at Brahma's night. Again and again, the day comes, and this host of being is active, and then again, the night falls, O Partha, and they are helplessly dissolved. So we are helpless. But Krishna is saying, but parastasmatu bhava anyo avyakto avyaktat sanatanaha yasa sarveshu bhuteshu na ashtyos na vinashyati. Parastasmatu bhava anyo means beyond this day and night or cosmic manifestation coming into being and going into being, there is an eternal place which is transcendental, and it is sanatan, means it is eternal, it is always there. And it is free from this vyakta and avyakta, manifestation and unmanifestation, free from that quality. Yet there is another nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is, and that's Krishna's place. And Krishna is giving an invitation. This is an invitation given in hand. You know, if some rich person comes and invites us, or invites you to their place for some function, you can expect that function is going to be magnanimous, right? That person is so rich, they're going to have this function in their house. It's going to be magnanimous. The arrangement is going to be out of the world, right?
Yes, Mataji.
So like that, Krishna is giving this invitation by hand to each one of us. Each one of us are getting it. And he's saying, come on, come here. And this is just an overview of Goloka chart. So let's see if I can magnify it. So we are here. If I can magnify more. Okay, this is the max I can do. We are here. So there is Karanadaksha Vishnu. So there is Mahavishnu, and from Mahavishnu there is Karanadaksha Vishnu. I'm sorry, Karanadaksha Vishnu. Krishna expands himself into 3 Vishnus for the matter of material manifestation. So one is Karanadaksha Vishnu, and from Karanadaksha Vishnu's breathing, planets come out. So when he breathes out, like when we breathe, carbon dioxide comes out, germs come out, like that. When Karanadaksha Vishnu breathes, these material planets come out. Okay, and then he expands himself into each and every planet as Garbhadaksha Vishnu. And in Garbhadaksha Vishnu, from the navel of Garbhadaksha Vishnu, the lotus stem comes out. And at the top of lotus stem, Brahma takes birth. So even though Mother Lakshmi is there, but Garbhadaksha Vishnu doesn't need Mother Lakshmi to give birth to Brahma. He's Atma Bhu. He can do whatever he wants by his own will. So Brahma doesn't know where he is. He sees darkness, and he hears a word called tapa. So for tapa, so then Krishna, then he does austerity for thousands of years, and then Krishna gives him knowledge how to create the material world in the heart. And then Brahma creates these 7 planets. So Brahma is a secondary creator. And then these are the planets. So we are here, Bhurlok. Then there is 7 lower, Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, Patal. And above is Bhuvar, Swahar, Mahar, Jana, Tapa, Satya, and Brahmalok, like that. So this is all in the material world. We are somewhere here. And then Krishna expands himself into Kshatradaksha Vishnu, which is a Paramatma expansion into each and every living entity's heart, everywhere, all over. And this is one universe. And there are thousands and millions, countless universes floating in the sky. We are part of one universe, in that we are part of one planet, in that we are part of maybe one region. So we are so small, like a dot in a big notebook, like one dot. Okay, and then the caretaker of this universe is Rama Devi, Mother Durga. She is a devotee of Krishna, like she's Vaishnavi. She is devotee of Vishnu. So she is actually guarding that if somebody wants to go to Krishna, then they need to be fully, they need to be not bothering Krishna. So we can't go out. So there are like so many, I think there's 7 layers which cover each and every planet where we are in, and each preceding layer is 10 times thicker than the succeeding layer. and this is all in this blue sky around us. But there is another sky which is called Brahmajyoti. I think this is that sky, spiritual sky. And this sky, you see this is called Brahmajyoti, and Brahmajyoti is nothing but an effulgence which is coming out from the body of Krishna and Vaikuntha planets. So here we'll see. So there are Vaikuntha Lok, depending on what kind of a relationship a soul wants with Krishna, there is Vaikuntha planets. And Vaikuntha planets, the rasa or the relationship is that more of a dasya, like I want to serve Krishna. And if the relationship, if there are more elements in the relationship, these are all the matter of discussion of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, like Lord Rama. Lord Rama, we can exchange, he has Dasya Ras, Hanuman is Dasya. Then with Mother Sita, he has Madhurya Ras. Then with his parents, he had Vatsalya Ras. So he has analysis is 2.5 rasas. So then there is Ayodhya. Depending on how we interact with Krishna, there are different planets. There is nothing higher and lower because Krishna is absolute. Absolute means there is no duality. There is no higher and lower means dual, two things. Something is higher, that is why we know something is lower. But that's not what it is in Krishna's place. It is depending on the type of relationship a soul has with Krishna. But Krishna is called as Akhil Rasa Amrita Murti. Means with Krishna, five primary relationships are fully manifested. That is why Goloka Vrindavan is over here. So as we develop our relationship with Krishna more and more from Dasya to Sakhya to Madhurya to Vatsalya, like that, then Goloka Vrindavan is there where we can have those exchanges. But how do we go there? Because we are here, somewhere here, and Krishna is calling us here, over here, all these planets. How do we go there? Now, how many of you can see this string? How many of you can see this string that I'm showing? Please don't leave. I have a very powerful video, and then I want to do IQ, EQ, SQ today.
Yes, we can see.
You can see this string?
Mataji.
Yes,
Mataji.
yes.
Okay, so that's a telephone wire, right? Right now, we are all sitting in different places in the world, in our own places, but we are connected by a sound vibration, right? So like that, sound vibration is connecting us. So like that, this sound vibration connects a living entity with the transcendental abode. And that sound vibration is Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So if we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then we can actually talk to Krishna. Right? Let's say somebody, anywhere we are located, we can do international calls. Now we can do WhatsApp calls, right? Because of the Wi-Fi. So, and then we can be connected like that. When we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we can be connected. This is the only way, actually. There is no other way in Kali Yuga. And I'm not making it up. I have no audacity and ability and capability to make things up. This is revealed in the Shastras. An intelligent person will accept it. And one may have doubts, so they will solve the doubts with evidences from Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. But Sanshaya Atma, the Atma that is full of doubts, Vinashyati, that Atma gets destroyed. 4th chapter, Krishna says this, Sanshaya Atma Vinashyati. So chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because if you want to take up Krishna's invitation to come to him, then he's telling you the process, that this is how we go. Okay, so over there, what is happening? Because there's got to be some activity going on. So Krishna is the object of affection for everybody there. The land, everything is conscious there. The land, the water, the animals, the trees, the flowers, everything is circling around Krishna, and Krishna loves them. Over here, the meaning of a leader is more of a controller, right? That's why we don't like somebody when they say we are leaders. But actually the spiritual leadership means that how can I serve you? So over there, Krishna is trying to serve the devotees, and devotees are trying to serve Krishna. Every relationship that we study, there's so much of taste there. So this Damodar month is coming, right? Next month. So this is Mother Yashoda. So she's running behind Krishna with a stick because he broke the pot of yogurt that his mother was turning into butter. And he stole the butter and he was feeding the monkeys. And she's running. She's angry that why did you steal my butter? That was my service to you. I wanted you to eat that butter so that you can grow fatty. Now you interrupted my service. Now what will I do? Now you deserve a stick. How many of you go to temple with a stick in your hand? I'm gonna beat you up, Krishna, because you did. How many of you go like that? No one.
No.
Nobody.
No one.
She's a Nitya Siddha Bhakta, Nitya Siddha. She's eternally liberated. And this is one of the Kulashekharas, Alvars from Ramanujacharya Sampradaya, King Kulashekara, right? He's from Ramanujacharya Sampradaya. Prabhupada translated his prayers in a book called Mukundamala Stotra. And this is a very famous prayer that he is praying to Krishna. Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam Adeva Me Vishatau Manasa Raja Hansa Prana Prayana Samaya Kafavatta Pitte Kantha Varodha Vidau Smaranam Kutaste. Oh Krishna, please allow my mind to immediately yield to your lotus flower like feet, just as the flamingo enters into labyrinth of the lotus flower stem. When at the moment of my last breath, my throat becomes constricted by the action of bodily humors, air, bile, and phlegm, how will I be able to remember you? So he wants Krishna to make him leave his body right away, because right now he's in a good state of health and he can think of Krishna. We should not do like that. Don't copy. We are not so elevated. We will commit sin. So Vedeshu Yagneshu Tapasu Cheva Daneshu Yat Punya Phalam Pradishtam Atyati Tat Sarvamidam Viditva Yogi Param Sthanam Upeti Chadyam. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing austere sacrifices, giving charity, or for pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. At the end, he reaches the supreme abode. So Krishna is thinking that Arjun is a Kshatriya, he's in Grihastha ashram, so he's supposed to do some sanskaras. But if Krishna is saying directly take to Krishna consciousness, think of me, put me in your mind and intelligence, so how, and engage in your service thinking of me always. So if Arjun is thinking, oh, then what is happening to my studying of the Vedas? What is happening to my different sacrificial performances? What is happening to my charity? What is happening? So Krishna is solving that doubt, that all these four things are already happening if you're doing it for me, if you're thinking of me. And by doing all these four things, studying Vedas, performing austere sacrifice, giving charity, or philosophical and fruitive activities, doing philosophical and fruitive activities, there is no assurance that one is going to go to Krishna. But doing something for Krishna is assuring at the end he reaches the supreme abode. Okay, so this is what we did today. I do want to request you to for staying for some more time today, if your time allows, because I do want to go over some of the slides of EQ, IQ, SQ, that intelligent quotient, emotional quotient, and spiritual quotient, and the video is very powerful. Can you all or some of you stay for some more time, maybe like 15-20 more minutes?
Yes,
Sure,
yes,
Mataji,
yes,
sure.
yes.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I'll try to record if somebody misses. Thank you. So these are the summary. The 8 questions are asked by Arjun to Krishna. Tomorrow I'm going to ask what are the 8 questions. So please come prepared. Otherwise, we will just go back to 8th chapter again. Okay. So remembering Krishna at the time of death is the last question that Arjun asked to Krishna, and Krishna spends good amount of time explaining that how do I remember? How can you remember me? You see, if Krishna doesn't love us, then he's not going to tell us the secret of remembering. Right? Why will he tell us? But he actually wants us, and we have to take a step. We have to take a step to go to Krishna. It's not like God will do everything. He is doing everything. He has given the human body. He has given the intelligence. He has given the mind. He has given the resources. He has given Bhagavad Gita. He has given the acharyas. He has done everything. Thoda step to lena padega na. We also have to take some step. How can, let's say I have a 13-year-old son. Okay, I say, my dear son, I love you so much. I love you so much. Can you do me a favor? Get me a glass of water. Get me this, do that. He keeps saying, but the whole day I keep sitting on my chair and thinking that just by saying that I love you so much, my dear son, is enough for running this relationship. Is that a good kind of a relationship between me and my son? Yes.
No,
I'll
not
not
at
do
all.
anything, but I'll just say, I gave birth to you. I am your mom and I love you. So you do. You are my son. You do everything. So that's like a fanatism, right? It's a fanatism. Because I heard that I read the definition of the word emotion. What is the definition of the word emotion? The feeling that puts you in motion. So it drives you in an activity. The feeling is so strong that it actually drives us in activity. So where's the activity? If you really say, I love Krishna, then where's the activity? Okay, remembering Krishna by pure bhakti, then material world versus spiritual world, and supremacy of pure bhakti in attaining Krishna. So let's see this video, and then whoever stays back, we will do that Okay, I'm going to pause the live stream and then I'll put the live stream again.